Two big things. I'm Stephen Means, that's Stefan Krajisnik, and this is another round of us just picking our brains and seeing what we want to ask Ryan Day on Tuesday as Ohio State prepares for its third road game in 4 games. They're headed to Wisconsin to face Luke Fickell and the Badgers on Saturday at 3:30 on CBS. Stefan, what are you thinking about? What's the theme of the week for you? What do you want to know from Ryan Day this week?
I haven't been able to stop thinking about Ohio State's secondary since we got back from Illinois, and specifically the way Ohio State uses Jermaine Matthews. Because when the injury report came out ahead of the Illinois game, I think the number one thing everyone thought was Lorenzo Styles is out. It's all about Devin Sanchez. He's going to get chances. He ended up getting his first career start. Like, this is an opportunity to see what Devin Sanchez is made out of as a 5-star true freshman who has all the expectations in the world around him, right? Coming from Texas and being the guy kind of in Ohio State's recruiting class. And as much as I think that's fair to keep a close eye on Devin and kind of what he does at corner with having to start, I left that game wondering, did we talk too much about Devin, and are we not talking enough about ways that Ohio State can use Jermaine Matthews? Because the way he played on Saturday was not just great corner, it was game wrecker, right? Getting into the backfield and forcing a fumble against Luke Altmaier, getting a tip ball that led to an interception. He is an outstanding corner, and I'm not saying Ohio State shouldn't use him at outside corner, but I think seeing some more of him playing kind of inside in that slot role, I don't think is a bad idea. I don't think it should be about who do you trust more, Lorenzo in the slot or Devin Sanchez and outside, and it should be maybe a bit of a conversation of what is your best usage of Jermaine Matthews? Because Arvell Reese can do a million things for you. Caleb Downs can do a million things for you. Those guys change the game. Why not Jermaine Matthews be a part of that conversation? Now, I had a bit of dialogue with our texters about this because it's been on my mind. 614-350-3315. Go there if you want to chime in and we can have some more conversation about it. If Devin Sanchez is playing so poorly that having him on the field is hurting you, then yes, I don't think it's even a conversation. Lorenzo plays the slot. Jermaine plays outside whenever you're in nickel sets.
Right.
But Devin, even with Illinois targeting him a good bit, looked okay for a true freshman making his first career start. And Ryan Day postgame did not talk about him in a freaking out type of way. He talked about it as like, yeah, he's going to develop. So if you think Devin Sanchez, between a trip to Wisconsin and a bye week, can get better and continue to improve and put you in a spot where he is trustworthy enough to be on the field against Penn State and UCLA and Purdue and Michigan, and then, as you get into the postseason, the teams that are going to be on Ohio State's schedule, why not unleash Jermaine to his full ability? Now, if Devin Sanchez isn't progressing as you expected and Lorenzo Styles is healthy, sure, maybe you stick with what you got and don't mess with it. But if Devin is giving you enough to where you can trust him, and I think based on everything we've seen this year, he's not going to be a detriment to this defense. Will he have his highs and lows? Sure, but it's not like there's this glaring hole on the defense where, just attack there and you're going to put up 50 points on Ohio State. Like, it's not going to be that bad with Devin on the field. Why not look kind of in a bit of a vacuum and say, okay, what's the best role for Jermaine Matthews? And if it's playing some more nickel when it calls for it, you'll figure out the Devin Sanchez or Aaron Scott or whatever situation. Like that will figure itself out. Put your best players in their best positions, and that might be something Ryan Day and the staff consider. And that's what I want to ask is, are you looking at this through the lens of, hey, Lorenzo or Devin, or are you looking at it through the lens of put Jermaine in his best role possible? And I think that might be moving him inside whenever you're playing nickel sets, because he's a game wrecker when he's close to the ball.
Right. There is almost two ways to look at this, right? Devin Sanchez got targeted 7 times on Saturday, and obviously he got targeted 7 times on Saturday. Illinois threw the ball 40-plus times, and of course they went the true freshman. In fact, the first play of the game for them was them attacking the true freshman. He got a pass breakup off of that. Allowed 5 catches for 72 yards. 11 of those yards came after the catch. He had a pass breakup. He also forced an incompletion, and obviously he had the pass interference call that, I don't know, it didn't end up being a touchdown, but then he had one later that was a pass interference and ended up being a touchdown. But yeah, he just looked like a freshman. out there playing 67 snaps when he never played 67 snaps in a college football game. But the perspective you're coming at it from with the Jermaine Matthews, every time he's around the ball, he makes a play concept. I mean, he had the pick against Texas. He had the pass breakup that led to the almost pick against Texas. He had another one of those pass breakups on Saturday that led to a pick for another linebacker against Texas. He had a strip sack against Illinois. Like, he was everywhere. And is he better than Caleb Downs? No. But I do think you can apply the same logic of, we got to midway through the season. In fact, right now, we got to where we are right now in the season when Caleb Downs is not around the ball enough. You need to do things to make sure he's around the ball enough. And so and we saw what came from that. And this year it feels like Caleb, Sonny, and Arvell are constantly in positions to make plays. And it feels like Jermaine Matthews is adding himself to the list of guys who just always need to be in a position to make plays. And sure, some of this is a true freshman ready to play 67 snaps a game for you versus a veteran safety slot corner who is in year 3 of that transition. I think it's an interesting conversation to have because, like with Caleb, part of the reason they can do what they've been doing with Caleb is because Jalen McClain and Lorenzo Styles have been so stout. If you want to do the things you want to do with Jermaine Matthews, does the same logic apply with Davison Igbinosun and Devin Sanchez and how good they have to be to allow you to be creative with Jermaine Matthews, which is why I wish we talked to the coordinators every week, because as much as this is a Ryan Day question, it's something you could really dive into with Matt Patricia. So here's mine. What the heck is going on at running back? Again, we talked about this on the Monday Leave No Doubt pod. Go check that out wherever you find podcasts. Go listen to Buckeye Talk. But what is the plan here? Is the plan to get all these 3 of these guys to January, or is the plan to build a hierarchy? They never really had to build a hierarchy last year with Travion and Quinshon. It was just whoever got hot, but then also whoever best fit the situation. But I think when you make that a 3-man rotation, it can be maybe a little bit more difficult for guys to get into a rhythm. How much of this is, though, Bo Jackson might not be 100% healthy right now? How much of this is trying to make sure James People stays engaged? I think Carlos Locklin has done a good job in terms of keeping all 3 of these backs' usages down. None of them are above 150 snaps this year, and none of them have more than 58 carries this year. So it's worked, right? You're 6 games through the season, and nobody has 60 carries yet. But there does come a point here where I feel like the rhythm of the game sometimes has been so thrown off that they're rotating those backs too much. There's an art to it, and I'm not sure that we've figured out the art yet when it's 3 guys versus it's 2 guys into that rotation. And how are Ryan Day and Carlos Locklin trying to figure that out? I know Ryan leaves these rotations to Carlos Locklin. He leaves the rotations to his assistant coaches, but he obviously has a lot of sway in that. So we know who the best running back is. It's Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson's got potentially 10 more games this year and 30-something more games left in his career as an Ohio State football player. You can't kill him in year 1, but I don't know if the running back situation is being maximized versus just making sure that you're not putting too much on one guy's plate. And there's got to be a balance between both of those 2 games. And maybe that might also fix your running game.
Yeah, it's. I think the way you presented the question at first is probably the best way to go about it, because I think that's kind of how I viewed it as well. It's perplexing in some ways. It almost feels like maybe you just try to get through this Wisconsin game healthy, go into the bye week, and then November is kind of when you can go full flow of trying to figure out, what this hierarchy is and how you want to actually divide reps, in the key games. It's crazy to think about. Like, Ohio State's going to go to Wisconsin, and then it's November. Like, you're in the second half of the season already. Ohio State's played 6 games already. Like, they're going to kind of mosey their way into the biggest stretch of the season, right? Like, we thought it was going to be a little bigger with Penn State kind of being the team out of the bye week. That no longer being the case. But, like, November means the game is on the way. And that also means the Big Ten title game and the playoff are not far away. Like, it's crazy to think how quickly we got here. And I wonder if it's being approached in a way of, hey, let's just get through the second bye week, get everyone healthy, and then it's full go figure out, your rotations, whether it's defensive end or running back, whatever it is. But obviously in this case, specifically talking about running back and see what you got. But I think maybe it's not something that gets answered at Wisconsin. But I think when you come out of the bye week and we get into the kind of the home stretch of the regular season, that's when we can learn a lot about, okay, who's emerging where, what's the rotation actually going to look like at running back, and can you get this running game going? Because as fun as it is to say, it's still early. I just told you that it's about to be November, so you got to start getting some answers sometime soon. And running back, I think, is probably at least offensively, the biggest question mark right now.
And you could probably even extend that to tight end, right? When you're trying to play 5 different guys, it's just, it feels like there's a lot of rooms on this offense who feel like they have a lot of guys who can play, but not everybody can play, right? Mylan Graham has started to rotate in at wide receiver a little bit, but not everybody can play. And at what point do you start to? It's almost like in basketball where you start the year off and you're playing 12 guys, and at some point you got to get that down to 8 or 9 guys. I'm wondering if that's where we're reaching with Ohio State's season, even though you're halfway through the regular season, but you're only a third of the way to the end of the entire season. But you're right, man. Time does fly unless you're the Ohio State offense. Then it doesn't fly. It goes slow every week. It goes very, very slow. Very, very slow to the finish line. Get the text 614-350-3315. 2-week free trial, $3.99. After that, those are the things that we are intrigued by as Ohio State heads into game number 7 on the road against Wisconsin on Saturday. Go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts. We do this, but longer, and we go live on YouTube every Wednesday at 11 a.m., about 90 minutes. It's a fun time. This week, we're going to be talking about college football playoff teams and we're putting teams in categories, in the different buckets as we get into the home stretch of the regular season. That's the fun. I'm Steven. Talk to you guys later.